Welcome to episode 68 of the Practice Squad, a show where we talk about football, shoot the breeze, and make even the replacement refs cringe. I'm your host and fourth string quarterback, Jeremy, joined each and every week by my co host and backup long snapper, Joseph. How's it going, man?
Well, glad we at least got blown out. Wasn't a close loss. Now our season's over. Um, and also it's looking like just how less necessary this 17th game is. Things are actually fell into place pretty well, and there's no point to play this longer season. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think pretty much everything is decided except for a couple of spots. I mean, at least in terms of
Like,
who's getting in. The seeding is still could shuffle around a lot the last week, but uh, in the AFC or in the NFC, there's only two teams vying for a spot, and then in the AFC, there's I think four teams, right,
yeah,
vying
but
for
it just
two
goes to show
spots.
the whole preseason. People get injured, or more games to figure things out. Whatever their reasoning was, like it's just like now would be a great time to end the season for unnecessary 17th game. But
Well, I wouldn't mind that because that would mean the Niners are in the playoffs for sure.
who
So
knows?
let's go back to 16 games. Okay, so we are live right here on YouTube every Tuesday, most Tuesdays during the NFL regular and postseasons at 8:30 p.m. Pacific. Of course, we like to ride in a little bit late sometimes at a cool 9:12 p.m. like tonight, but that happens. Life happens. So if you like what you hear and want to support us, don't hesitate to like, share, and if you're feeling extra generous, subscribe. But of course, you can like, share, and subscribe even if you think you could run this show better than us, which if you're healthy, you probably could, since Joseph and I are both a little bit sick, recovering from various ailments. So we'll do our best with our voices. I'm a little bit congested, so apologies for a less than stellar voice tonight, but we'll get through it. So this week we've got our typical gambit of segments, including our game of the week, which was, well, let's just put it this way. It was the Jamar Chase show. Uh, who wrecked face this week? Darndest things, which is actually sort of a special thing, and then we've got our special segment, which we'll reveal later. Although, if you actually, so here's the deal with that. If you watched our last episode, which was 2 weeks ago, I think we talked about it. What our special segment for tonight is. If you didn't watch our episode from 2 weeks ago, don't go watch it now. Stay with us live, but it's going to be a surprise for you. So you'll have to wait a little bit to find out what it is, but it'll be well worth the wait. We're going to have tricky picks tonight, the last tricky picks of the regular season. And of course, we're going to round out the show with our predictions for the final week, week 18 of the NFL regular season. So let's go ahead and dive right into our segment one. Game of the week, Chiefs at Bengals. Yes, I know we've done the Chiefs a few times, but we could not resist doing this game because, number one, there was a potentially top 10 wide receiver performance of all time in this game, and it was also a crazy last second finish. Bengals, I would count this as a little bit of an upset, and it certainly put the Chiefs' ability to win the top seed in jeopardy, and I believe it secured the Bengals as the AFC North division winners. So it had massive implications for the postseason, and there was a lot within the game that was interesting to talk about as well. So tonight we're going to go through our normal format of kind of going through the drives, but I'm going to truncate it a little bit just to save time for our special segment tonight, since I know we're going to have a lot of conversation on that, because there's some good debate that I think will happen. So let's go ahead and start right off with first quarter. The Chiefs got the ball first. The commentator commented, I don't remember who was commentating that game, but one of them said that the Chiefs have the best third down efficiency in the league, and then they proceed to get stopped on 3rd and 2. So,
Wait, wasn't it Romo? Wasn't it Romo and Nance?
oh yeah, it was Roman
Oh, I thought
and
that was
Ness. You're right.
different.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot that because they're one of my favorite duos. So, derp. But yes, I think it must have been Jim Nance that said that, and then they proceeded to get stopped on 3rd and 2. Um, And then after the teams exchange a couple of punts, Kelsey draws a PI on a pretty long pass play. The Bengals put up a couple of stops, and the down is 4th and 1. Kelsey takes the snap, and the O-line just shoves the pile forward for the first down. And then this eventually leads to a touchdown pass to Demarcus Robinson, and the Chiefs go up 7-0. Joseph, I think you said you noticed an interesting thing about this play, or
Yeah,
you think it was
that
this
run
play.
where, yeah, the big lineman for the Chiefs just comes running in and pushes the pile. It just seemed though it's like kind of nonchalant, but they're going, and then this lineman just comes barreling in and pushes the pile and gets his team at extra yards to the Chiefs. Those are always great to see when the offensive line do their work like that.
Yeah, and when the refs don't blow the whistle prematurely and kind of let things play out. So on the next Bengals drive, I noted that Chris Jones made a fantastic open field sack of Joe Burrow. Definitely one of the better sacks I've seen. It forces a punt. And then on the next drive, just Mahomes just kind of picked apart the Bengals D and threw a touchdown pass to Kelsey. It's 14-0 Chiefs. And the way the game was going, after that score, you're thinking, okay, it's getting late in the first. Chiefs are up 14-0. They don't look stoppable. The Bengals aren't really doing anything. This looks like it could be another blowout. But none other than rookie Jamar Chase gets going on this drive. On 2nd and 7, Burrow passes to Chase, and it's a short pass. It's like a, I don't know, 3 to 5 yard pass, but 3 to 5 air yards. But then Chase, he jukes a defender, gets a good block, and then he breaks away at lightning speed for a 72-yard touchdown.
Dude, that move he made was like, you know, go back and look at it again. I remember seeing it in the game. I think when I watched it, I was actually thinking of criticizing him, you know, for the whole like, oh, go backwards to get yards kind of thing. But and what a brilliant move! That got touchdown. Without that move, he would not have had that.
Yeah, it was a pretty. It was one of the smoother jukes I've seen. And yeah, it was a risk, but
He is so fast. He picked up speed so quick those last 30, 40 yards.
Do you know what his 40 time was?
I don't. I can look it up though while you're talking.
Okay. Yeah, because he definitely outran everyone and scored the touchdown. So that breathed some life into the Bengals. So that's the end of the first quarter. The second quarter, on the next Chiefs drive, Mahomes completes a 53-yard pass to McCole Hardman. And then at the line, the Chiefs put up another strongman competition, and they win, pushing in Darrell Williams for a touchdown. And they're now up 21-7, so back to 2-touchdown lead. And then it's sort of like most of this game was Chiefs put together a nice drive, and then Jamar Chase makes a couple of amazing plays. Chiefs put together a nice drive. Jamar Chase makes a couple of amazing plays. So Chase, his second notable catch of the game was a bobbled catch on the sideline. He kind of jumped up. He was in traffic. The ball's bobbled, and he catches it, falls out of bounds. And then later on in that drive, the Chief was actually, I don't remember who the defender was, but he was covering Chase pretty well. But Chase makes a leaping catch in the end zone for a touchdown. And now it's only 21-14 Chiefs. The highlights, so Chase had, we'll talk about his total stats at the end, but Chase had 11 receptions on 12 targets. I think the highlights showed like 7 of them. So there were a few that weren't as big, but the ones that they showed were all like really epic catches that were either touchdowns or deep throws. or just like crazy athletic receptions. So,
By the way, his 40 time, so he didn't run at the combine, but he did run on the LSU Pro Day, which they had timers. So even if there is something off, it's I think kind of official enough. He ran a 4.38 on his pro day at college.
oh wow,
With
okay,
everyone.
well there you go.
Yeah.
A 4.38 will outrun most defenders in the league. So Mahomes. So the Chiefs get the ball back after that, after the Bengals touchdown. And then there was that great play where Mahomes he tries for the rushing touchdown and is like a yard short of the goal line and kind of goes out of bounds, but then he takes out Tyreek Hill. Did you see that play where Tyreek Hill is just in front of him?
No.
And so Tyreek Hill, there's two defenders, Mahomes. There's two defenders that are going for Mahomes, but somehow Tyreek Hill gets kind of caught in front of them. And so Mahomes is trying to dive forward for the touchdown, but Hill is directly in the way. And so when Mahomes dives, he just sort of like crashes into Hill, like right on the sideline, about a yard before the end zone. And Tyreek Hill's like, he kind of rolls around on the ground for a minute. I think he kind of got the wind knocked out of him, but he got up okay. So
I don't think I remember that.
yeah, it was. I think Romo joked afterwards. He was like, "And Mahomes, he took out Tyreek Hill." But nonetheless, Mahomes' effort was worthwhile, and Williams ends up going up the gut for another touchdown, 28-14 Chiefs. And then with 40 seconds left in the half, Bengals kick a field goal, 28-17. And then I think it was, that's right. This is a great, so the Chiefs get the ball back with about 40 seconds left, and Mahomes decides, instead of running for it, which there was lots of open grass in front of him to run, he stops right at the line of scrimmage and chucks it, does a Hail Mary, and it gets to Hill, who almost catches it, but then the ball is jarred loose by the defender. Fantastic pass defended.
Should he have caught that? Was that a should have caught?
I think it was just a really good pass defense. He definitely had it, but then it got knocked out.
Okay. Do you think Mahomes should have just kept running?
Probably, because they had about 40 seconds left, or they might have done a couple of downs, so he might have only had like 20 seconds left. But they had, I think, one or two timeouts, and he probably could have gotten 20 yards running. So I would have probably run and then seen what I could do with maybe a couple more sideline pass plays and then maybe kick a field goal. Because you are risking the interception with that amount of time left, and I think the Bengals had timeouts too, so maybe they kick a field goal. Right? I would have gone for the field goal in that case, but he decided to chuck it, and it was very close to being a great play, but the ball got batted down. So that ends the half. It's 28-17 Chiefs at the half, and at this point, Ja'Marr Chase, he had made some great plays, but you're about to see why this was the Chase show. So, start of the third quarter, just a wide open Ja'Marr Chase on the sideline, like totally broken coverage. He gets an easy touchdown reception, and I think it was Jim Nantz, or I don't remember who said it, but he said, "Chase, there is no Chase."
Yep.
So now it's only the Bengals cut the Chiefs' lead down to 28-24. And then Mahomes throws a pass that was almost taken the other way, but Byron Pringle knocks it out. That was a good wide receiver pass defended moment. So that forces a punt, and then that was that weird sequence where he threw the ball to Chase, who is barely short of the first down. And then on 4th and 1, Burrow throws that screen pass that's like way off, but then the receiver catches it and runs forward and gets like 10 yards. um, and converts it.
Lost you.
Oh, you can't hear
I
me?
lost you for a bit. I heard you say screen pass 10 yards, and then you cut out for like a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, we have an audio delay going on right now.
Yeah, you're going in and out.
Hmm. Okay, let's hang up our Skype call and I'll call you back. All right, sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Sometimes this happens. So I'm going to go ahead and call Joseph again. You're going to hear the beeps. Apologies for that.
Hey.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, does it sound normal?
Talking?
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, there might maybe back or a little static, but yeah, I say it's normal enough. Normal enough.
Okay, so can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think there might still be like a half-second delay or something, but we'll keep going. Let me check the stream to make sure that the stream's healthy. Not dropping any frames. YouTube says we're okay, so I think we're okay. Shout out in the chat if you hear something weird, and we'll try to fix it. But does everything still sound okay on your end, Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we might be back. Okay. So yeah, there was the play where the ball, there's a screen pass on 4th and 1. Burrow throws it and the guy catches it like a couple yards behind the line of scrimmage. But the ball was not thrown well, and the guy reaches out, grabs it, and then runs it for about 10 yards. So that gets them the first down and opens up the fourth quarter. So Bengals drive down. Tyler Boyd's left open in the corner of the end zone, and Burrow completes a touchdown pass to take their first lead of the game, 31-28. And then Bengals defense kind of steps up for the first time all game, and the pressure forces an errant throw by Mahomes, and the Chiefs have to kick a field goal with 6:05 left. They tie it at 31 apiece. And then this is where it just got ridiculous. So, Jamar Chase catches a pass on the sideline that was pretty deep. I think it was like 30 or 40 yards or something. And he just holds out the ball to everyone. It's just like, hey, I'm dominating in this game, and everybody knows it. You know it. I know it. I just want you guys to see how easy it is for me to be doing this right now. So at this point, he's just showing off. He's racked up over 200 yards. And the pass set up the Bengals at the Chiefs' 34. So the next highlight was on 3rd and 27. Chase gets another huge sideline catch, and sets up another first down close to the goal line. And then here, credit to the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs had like 6 run stops at the goal line or something. They
thick.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like being at that game watching that, not knowing whether they got in or not for like 6 times, 6 plays in a row. But so the Chiefs, to their credit, do put up some good defenses, and on a 4th and goal, they decide to pass, and the Bengals draw a hands to the face penalty in the end zone. So the Chiefs do hold up for another 2 downs, but unfortunately the clock is burned down, and on 3rd and goal, the Bengals are forced to kick a field goal or else send it to overtime, and it's a chip shot. It was like a 35-yarder or something, or not even that. It was like 29 yards or something, and they kick the field goal and win 34-31 in regulation. So, man, we'll get to Chase in a second, but I mean, if it hadn't been for Chase, the Bengals would not have won that game. And I mean, the Bengals, they never sacked Mahomes. They did pressure him a couple times, which forced a couple of errant throws, but they never sacked him. There were no turnovers by either team in the game. There were 15 penalties, 10 of them on the Chiefs, so there were some mistakes, but this was just kind of a genuine shootout, and the Bengals got the better end, but got the better end of the stick. So, Joseph, I'll let you wrap up kind of with your thoughts, and then we'll move on to our rec face, which will include Ja'Marr Chase, of course.
Well, what I just want to know is, like, I wouldn't say the Chiefs played poorly. How legit is this Bengals team? I mean, they've got weapons. Burrow seems to be clicking, and they've got good receivers. I think Mixon's a solid running back. I think having offensive line help would be good because he sacked a lot this year. I believe they said in the game that was his 48th sack at one point. That's a good amount of sacks. Their defense isn't great, but I'm calling bad. So I'm just wondering how good truly are the Bengals? Kind of been up and down this year. I look at their schedule. They lose one, they win one, lose one, they win two, they lose one, they win two, they lose two, they win two, they lose two, they win three. That's pretty.
Yeah, they're.
I don't know how legit they are going to be going to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't either. If their offense gets going, they can win in any shootout against any of the teams in the AFC, I think. The issue is, I think their defense is just really inconsistent. And, I mean, their defense has given up 30-plus points multiple times this season. So they're not a consistent defense. And I think when you have an inconsistent defense, that typically spells disaster in the playoffs. So we'll see. I think they're definitely in good position to maybe win that wild card week since they're going to get the home field advantage. But after that, it's anyone's game, I think. But yeah, I mean, to think that just last year, the Bengals were like 4-12. Burrow had a few starts, but then he tore his ACL or whatever, and they were clearly in rebuild mode. And then this year they go from that to then this year drafting Ja'Marr Chase, and just Burrow grows a lot, and they're 10-6, right? Like, yeah. It's just like they really accelerated their rebuild phase. And I mean, that's what a good quarterback will do for you. Yeah, I agree. Offensive line help, because Burrow's not the most mobile guy. Like, he can move, but he's not a Lamar Jackson. So he does need help.
He's got good top end speed, but he's not very agile.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for our game of the week. So we'll move on to who wrecked face this week. And Joseph, do you want to start, and then I'll go second?
Yep. All right. So got Devontae Adams, 11 receptions, 136 yards, and a touchdown. For the Seahawks, we have Rashad Penny, 170 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns on a 6.8 average. Then we have for the Steelers, we have Najee Harris, 188 rushing yards on a 6.7 average and 1 touchdown. And then obviously the 2 Bengals, Joe Burrow, 30 of 39 for 446 yards, 4 touchdowns and no picks. That's 148 passer rating. And then Ja'Marr Chase, 11 of 12 for 266 yards and 3 touchdowns, which is a 24.2 average.
Yeah, and you and I were talking before the before the show that if this isn't a top 10 wide receiving performance, then it's very close to it. It has to be.
Yeah. And I'm looking right now, actually, online, Google top performances of all time, and curious to see what shows up and try to compare it to those just on raw stats.
Okay, yeah, let me know. Well, let us know when you find more information on that as we go. Okay, so excuse me. So I did have Tom Brady in there as well had a pretty solid game, 34-50, 68% completion, 410 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick, but 104.6 rating. And part of that was factored in is their comeback because they were down 24-10 at one point, and then they scored 18 unanswered points. And he had to deal with the shirtless Antonio Brown really awkward, weird situation that happened. So he rallied the troops and got it done. So I gave him some extra brownie points for that. And then I have defensive players. I'll save the best for last. So Fred Warner, 15 tackles, 1 forced fumble, and a tackle for loss. Travis Gibson, linebacker for Chicago, 2 tackles, but he had 2 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. DJ Reed for Seattle, cornerback for Seattle, had 8 tackles and 2 interceptions. And Chuck Clark, safety for the Ravens, had 7 tackles and 2 interceptions. And none other than TJ Watt came in with 5 tackles, 2 passes defended, and 4 sacks on Baker Mayfield to keep the Steelers season alive.
He had whoa. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was looking at the stats before that game. He had 4 sacks.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So he has 21 and a half sacks on the season.
Which is like, that's an all-time great. That's all-time great.
Yes.
22 and a half is the record. And yeah, so there you go.
Oh,
wow.
So if he gets 1.5 sacks next week, then he'll break the record.
Yeah. I mean, he has the extra game, but so I'm basing it just off
Sure.
16 games. But yeah, if he gets 1.5 sacks, he has the record for the NFL.
Wow. That's impressive.
Official, yeah.
And I'll just throw out this interesting tidbit because before we do the got wrecked, because I texted this to you earlier, and this is directly related to TJ Watt. The Steelers as a team have led the NFL in sacks since 2016. So 2017 and beyond, every season they've either been first or tied for first in sacks. And for the last, whatever it's been, when did he get drafted? 3 or 4 years ago?
Watt?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Watt's 4th year.
So he was drafted in 2018, right?
17. I'm wrong. Was it 5th? Is it? Oh, sorry. This is a 5th year.
18, 19, 20, 21. So was it 17?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense because that's when they started getting first place. So that's why I actually looked it up, because I wanted to know if I noticed they were leading this year, and I wanted to see if there was a correlation between when he got drafted and when they started leading in sacks, and there indeed is.
I think there is. Yeah, his rookie year he only had 7 sacks, but after that it goes 13, 14 and a half, 15, 21 and a half.
Yeah, wow. Easily a Hall of Famer in the making.
Yeah, he could be knocking on his brother's doorstep, actually.
Yeah.
For dominance, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so let's do our got wrecked. Why don't you go first?
Goodness.
You got one, and I got one.
Yeah. Oh boy. Mike Glennon, the Giants passing. I'll do this 2 ways. So the first way is to not look at sack yards. Just what Mike Glennon did. 4 of 11 for 24 yards. No touchdowns, 2 picks, which is a 5.3 passer rating and a 0.0 QBR. You know what? Doubt me all you want. Put me out there on a warm day. I honestly think I could do better right now. I honestly think I could. I really do. Then include he had 4 sacks for 34 yards. So his net passing was -10.
That's fantastic.
Oh.
And then we got on the other side of the offense, the Vikings rushing, and what's more amazing is that Dalvin Cook actually played in this game. Vikings rushing 11 carries for 27 yards, which was a 2.5 average, but they had an 11-yard rush. So when you factor that in, it was 10 carries for 16 yards.
With Cook.
With Cook in the game.
That's unacceptable.
No, it's not. That should never happen. Ever. They were playing their backup quarterback because I think Cousins is on the COVID reserve or whatever. So, but still, that's like, if anything, that just means that the rushing should be like 150 yards to make up for poor passing. So just terrible all around. All right. So let's move into our next segment, which is commentators say the darndest things. And I didn't have a commentator's quote specifically, other than the Chase. This is not a Chase line from earlier, but this is a tweet that's been circulating quite broadly amongst NFL people on Twitter about Jerry Rice. So everything about this is just fantastic. So the person that tweeted is named Harrison P. Kent the Fourth, and he calls himself an NFL data analyst on Twitter, and he says, I don't know anything about this guy other than this, but yesterday he tweeted, I think the original tweet was yesterday. He said, and this is not satire, just to be clear before I read it. He says, Jerry Rice, who I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this. Jerry Rice, who laughably ran a 4.7140, would be a practice squad player in today's NFL. A prime Rice, my algorithms suggest, would be the 193rd most effective wide receiver today. Rice, enabled by coach and QB talent, was somewhat effective in his day, but today's wide receivers are a different breed.
No. Maybe Barry Sanders was garbage too.
Needless to say, this guy got smoked by every last corner of Twitter the last 24 hours.
Like, even taking everything, what he said, to the extreme and giving some benefit of the doubt, like, his conclusion is still ridiculous. Like, in principle, I'll give him some leeway, but just
that is it. It's just it's a gold a gem. You don't find these often, but this was just, I mean, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to read it on air.
Yeah, I mean, like Herschel Walker, Fitz Smith, Randy Moss, Dan Marino, I'm sure they would have just done fine in today's league.
Yeah, seriously. Like, yeah.
Okay, fine. That's not the greatest, but that's not what that guy went from, like, let's take the greatest wide receiver of all time, top 3 at worst. I'm just playing incredibly skeptical just to show how bad this guy was. And then let's put him down to 193rd, basically.
And say he would be a practice squad player in today's NFL.
That's so pathetic. Practice squad. Like, I think taking what he just said and doing worst case scenario, Jerry Rice would be a Pro Bowler. He'd be a Pro Bowler. He'd make the NFL team and be a decent wide receiver. In the worst case of whatever this guy is talking about, but a practice squad player.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Young and Joe Montana were great quarterbacks, but they weren't as good as some of the other quarterbacks. And, like, there's just, like, you can take these guys' principles, take them to the max, still knock Jerry Rice down a little bit, and you still end up nowhere close to what this guy came up with.
Right, and the one other thing that I hate about the algorithms that compare, like, older players to current players is it assumes that older players wouldn't be able to play. It puts them into the modern setting without making any adjustments. But the reality is, anybody that would play today would adapt to the current rules, right? So
Yeah,
it's not like, if anything, Jerry Rice would have more success today because of all of the more offensive friendly rules now than were there in the 80s and 90s.
well, and they had sufficient athleticism. The athleticism argument doesn't work. That's why I bring up guys like Herschel Walker. Like, or Bo Jackson. The guy was a monster, and he played in the 80s. I mean, this is just, if you want to go you know, um, I mean, sorry, 1 second. Consider sports like the strongest man competition, like how those guys, but like, and there's improvements of science and blah blah, all these things. But like, those guys were still huge and very strong, and those records had to be broken eventually. So it's not like Jerry Rice was born in the 1700s and only started to practice athleticism when he was 20 years old. Like, this is just absurd. This is just absurd.
Yeah. Yeah.
People were athletes in the 70s, 80s, and Jerry Rice was in his prime in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. And pure athleticism is not everything also. So
Yeah,
it's just, yeah. Okay. So segment 4.
Which, by the way, we could stay on that point for a second here. This is a good point. I found a link that from 2000, it had the top 28 best wide receiver performances, and it was updated on October 25th of 2019.
Okay.
So we'll take that 28 and we'll be very conservative and extrapolate to 35. I doubt there's been 7 more to add in the last couple of years. Let that 7. They have 35 they recorded, and I'm seeing some of these go as far back as 1973. So yeah, this is pretty much their all-time list. We'll make it 35. In the past 7 years, I'm sure Chase's is top 3. And from this list of 28, as I was going through it, listening to you, I could easily put Chase better than like 5 to 8 of them, and probably even 10 to 12. So we'll say that his performance was automatically top 25 all time, and top 20 is doable. I don't think top 10, but top 14 to 18, I think a case could be made for if I did a deeper dive.
Okay. What is the number 1 of all time on that list? I'm curious.
So the thing is, I don't think they actually did. They gave 28 examples, but there's no way that they're in. Are they in top order? I don't think they're in top order. Are they? 1 second.
Well,
So
it's fine if
if
you
they're in
can't
top-
find the best, but like amongst the best, just pluck one of them out. I'm curious.
Jerry Rice, 13 catches, 225 yards, 5 touchdowns. Another guy, Jimmy Smith, 15 for 291 and 3. Jerry Rice, 14 for 289 and 3. Jerry Butler, 10 for 255 and 4.
Okay, so I kind of get the idea.
Yeah,
he got really
15 for
close. Those are all
2-
really close,
Yeah.
except for the
So there's
5
some-
touchdown one. Yeah, they're all pretty close.
So him being in the 266, I would say, is above average. Him having 3 touchdowns is right there. And yeah, so I would say you can make the case for top 15, easily the case for top 20, top 25 of all time, which is
Okay.
still a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal. All right, so our 4th segment is our tricky picks, and I was informed by our tricky pick creator that from the picks that were listed out 2 weeks ago that I went 3 and 4 and Joseph went 4 and 3. So that means that I am 27 and 31 and Joseph is 26 and 32. So let's hear the picks for tonight, and then we're going to move on to our special segment after that.
As the creator of Tricky Picks, I think that I get a +1 bonus for the work I put into these, so I think we're tied, actually.
I think we applied that to the first season only. and not this season.
Okay. Will Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase combined for 450 passing and or more?
Who are they playing?
Browns. I think it's at Browns.
Yes.
I said no. I can see Chase getting there. I don't know if Burrow will get the 300 as well. Colts
Wait,
Jags.
wait. I thought
Will
you
the
meant
Colts win by
hold on. I thought that question was Burrow's passing yards plus Chase's receiving yards are more or less than 450.
Yes, that was the question. I'm saying so. I think Chase will get the 150, but I don't think Burrow will get the 300. So I'm sorry. I see. That was just me figuring out what I think Chase will max out at.
Okay. So, by the way, you do sound slightly robotic right now. It's not terrible, but it's not the more crisp audio we've heard from you in the past.
Is that better?
Not really.
Weird. Okay. Before the microphone had kind of gone down my shirt a bit because I had the headphone the other side. So, okay. I don't know what to make it better.
That's better.
Okay.
You just did. That makes it better. That sounds more normal now.
Colts Jags. Will the Colts win by 17 or more?
Yes.
No. Will Jonathan Taylor have at least 150 total yards and 2 total touchdowns in that game?
Yes.
I said yes. Jets Bills. Will the Jets have 4 or more scoring drive Bills? And so a safety does not count. Oh, you know what? I didn't think about this. I said scoring drives. So pick sixes and safeties don't count. So field goals and touchdowns from the offense.
I'm gonna say no.
All right, I said the same. Okay, so far we've agreed. Oh, you know what? We're gonna have a winner because we've already disagreed on 2. We've agreed on 2. So no matter if we agree or not, there's gonna be we're either gonna tie or someone's gonna win Tricky Picks for the season. Oh,
I don't think it's possible for there to be a tie, right? Wait, how many were there total? No. Was it 4 picks total?
There's 5. I have one more.
Oh, 5, and we agreed on 2 of them.
Yeah. So you know what? I think we can tie because if we differ on this next one and I end up out, if I win out and I go 3-2, we'll tie. So never mind. Who will have the largest delta of touchdowns minus turnovers? Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray?
And by turnovers, you mean turnovers caused by that player or the team?
By them, so lost fumbles and interceptions. By touchdowns, I mean total touchdowns, passing and rushing.
We'll have the largest delta. I'll say Murray.
All right, same. Okay.
So that didn't help. Okay. No, that's fine. If we end up tying, maybe we can do like a postseason tiebreak or something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's our Tricky Picks. We're going to move on to our special segment tonight, which is our NFL awards. And these are MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Defensive Rookie of the Year. So 5 categories. And what we agreed on beforehand, we have not discussed this list with each other. We discussed the categories, but we did not discuss or disclose our choices. We agreed beforehand that there would be 2 people on each category unless there was either a really clear choice, or you just couldn't think of somebody. So, which I think was the case for Defensive Rookie of the Year,
Rookie.
correct? Yeah. But I think for the other four, we both have multiple selections. So, do you want to start with the Player of the Years and then end with MVP?
Yes.
Okay. So, all right, let's start with Offensive Player of the Year.
Rookie or
Non-rookie, so just total overall.
Okay. And oh yeah, we agreed that our picks are non-quarterbacks.
Yes.
Okay, so number
even
one.
Even though in the actual NFL they technically could be on our list, they're not.
Yeah, and we do that friends of the audience before because we think the quarterback should always win the MVP. So
yes.
Unless it's just crazy. But
so do you want to do this by maybe we each say our runner-up and then we say our winner?
Okay, I already kind of said my winner though, but we'll do that after that. We can. So how about you give me your runner-up?
I don't know when you said that. I guess I missed it.
Perfect, fine. Okay, my runner-up is Cooper Kupp.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought we'd have the same players for this.
Well, I'd be curious to know who your runner-up is. But I think we both know who number one is. So who's your runner-up?
Well, hold on a second. I actually need to look at Cooper Kupp's stats, and that's going to be part of this is pulling up stats. So he has 15 touchdowns. Okay, never mind. I actually agree with your pick more than my second. So I'm going to put him up here. I actually missed that one. My runner-up was actually Deebo Samuel, but I think he's third. I think Deebo Samuel's third.
Okay.
Deebo Samuel has a couple hundred less total yards and 2 less touchdowns. Although he does have the one thing that I guess you could maybe make an argument for is that he has a way higher average yards per reception, and he has 6.3 average rushing yards per attempt. So his he has 17.9 average yards per reception and 6.3 average yards per rush for 1,630 total yards and 13 touchdowns.
I think the next thing to look at is the catch. If Cooper is catching a high percentage, then that can help. He can have leeway with having a lower yards per catch.
So he was 138 receptions. Cooper Kupp 138 for 184, which is 75%.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, that is really good. And Deebo Samuel had let's see. On receiving, I think it's going to be a little bit lower than that. So 73 for 115 is 63%. So it is a little bit lower. Deebo Samuel lost 2 fumbles and Cooper Kupp didn't lose any. So yeah, I think Cooper Kupp edges him out by a little bit.
We can agree that the difference between 1 and 2 is much bigger than 2 and 3.
Agreed. Yes, absolutely. I think go ahead.
Oh, say you said that Deebo's catch percentage was what? 60 what percent?
63%.
Oh, okay. That's a pretty big delta. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the number pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald was so good. He was offensive.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's obviously Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. So Jonathan Taylor had 2,000 he has one again. We're listing stats after game 16, but they have one more game left. But even, I mean, there's no way that Cooper Kupp's going to catch up to this. So Jonathan Taylor has 2,076 total yards, 1,734 of which are receiving yards, 20 touchdowns, And he has a 9.2 average yards per reception and a 5.5 average yards per rush. And he was, let's see, he had receiving, he didn't have that many targets, so I don't think the receptions per targets is all that important. He was 37 for 47, which is good. 2 touchdowns, no lost fumbles. He did lose 2 fumbles rushing, but he dominated. He was clearly the pick here. Okay. Sorry, I'm just adding in a label for the catch efficiency on this for record. And yeah, that's it for Offensive Player of the Year. So let's do Defensive Player of the Year next. And I think this one is also pretty clear. I think it's the runner-ups that were actually a little more interesting. So
yeah. So I'll go first because this one, and I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, so forgive me. This is, oh boy,
Foyesade Aluokun, is that?
yes.
I don't know if that's right, but that sounds right to me. So
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm trying dude, what like? I was looking at the stats and I'm thinking Robert Quinn and T.J. Watts, and I scroll and I look up, and I see 179 tackles. I'm like, what? He also had a forced fumble and 3 interceptions. And so it's like, wow. So yeah, that's the runner-up. 179 tackles is a lot. Who is that? Your runner-up as well?
Yeah, I did have
Quinn.
I had Quinn, and I did have Trayvon Diggs for his 11 picks.
Ooh, dude, that's big. Yeah, okay. Oh man, that's a tough one. Diggs. I don't know if outside of an absurd year, like granted the winner and the runner-up had good enough years that I don't think it's enough. It's enough to cover the delta of Diggs versus a more normalized great season for a cornerback. I don't think Diggs had a fantastic year, but it's not enough to overcome the natural delta there is from like a defensive end linebacker.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why he was more of an honorable mention.
Yeah.
And I think Quinn was actually really close to TJ Watt. And I mean, he was basically like a slightly worse TJ Watt because he had 17 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles. So, actually, so ESPN's now saying it's 18. It juggled between 8. One screen showed 18, another showed 17. Did you have 18 for him?
Yes, from the last game. Yeah.
Okay. So
TJ Watt
sacks.
also. Yeah, TJ Watt has 3 more fumble recoveries, and got more tackles for loss, and he has more, I think, stuffs pass defended.
Yes.
So yeah, Quinn was a good comparison to Watt, but we can agree that Watt is the clear number 1.
Yes.
Which good because he was absolutely robbed last year, and you can make a case that he could have won it the year before as well. But
who was he robbed by last year?
Aaron Donald.
Of course. I'm sad about this category because I felt like Nick Bosa came so close. Like if he had a couple more, he's been quiet the last couple games. If he had gotten another, 2 or 3 sacks and naturally probably would have gotten a couple more tackles for loss, he could have been in the discussion. But he petered off at the end, so he's not on the list. But I was
this is great.
Bummed by that.
That's fair. Yeah.
I actually forgot we were gonna do comeback player of the year, and I totally forgot that one. Did you end up doing that one?
I didn't, but I totally buy. Well, honestly, I might give it to Burrow, dude.
It would either be Burrow or Nick Bosa.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I'm glad Watt better win it. This actually is going to end up being Watt's probably. This is probably going to be Watt's best season. Last year, he had some give and take on some things. Yeah, you know what? No, I'm looking at it right now. Um, I think this would be Watt's best season career. So given that he was robbed for one, and case for a second, it'd be good for him to win finally a Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to see, so 179 tackles
Oh,
over
that's
16
ridiculous.
games. That's 11 tackles per game, which is really crazy. That's, I mean, 179 is really good for 16 games, and this guy's going to have a 17th to pile on top of that. What would you, so the interesting question here, I think, given that we agree, Foyesade Aluokun is the runner up. What would he have had to do to have edged out T.J. Watt?
I would have liked to have seen somewhere between sacks, forced fumbles, I think passes defended. I would have liked to have seen more of those. And then simultaneously, you take down Watt just a little. But I'm okay if Foya said, is that what you said? Foya said?
I'm saying Foyesade. That guy would be totally
Foya-
wrong, but it sounds
Okay.
nice.
If he wins, I won't be like, oh my goodness. I think that Watt makes the case, and Watt will get the edge. Kind of pun intended. He's an edge, you know. But I think Watt has done enough, and there might be some, historical justice here with being robbed, but award justice. But no, I think Watt has himself to win. This is a great year. The question is, how much of a delta is there between Watt's great year and another great defensive end year versus Foya great year? So let me just look up like all-time tackles.
Oh, so now you're talking about relative to the position.
Yeah, because I know because it is kind of hard to compare. Like okay, because you can compare the front seven to one another. That's what I saw. That like Aaron Donald, Watt, like Nick Bosa, they can be compared against one another. I kind of did a search, some analysis on that recently, and found that out. But like a middle linebacker, like Boyasad, you can't. They're too different.
Yeah.
So let's see here. So tackles, single season, solo, and then combined. So, I mean, he's already 13th of all time.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, and he's only where he currently is. He's only 5 away from breaking 10th all time. So, but then you look at Watt, forced fumbles is pretty solid. Fumble recoveries, 21.5 sacks, 21.5 sacks. Honestly, I think they're both very worthy of it. I wouldn't be bothered if either one. I think Watt will win it. The history will probably help him to win it. But, the other guy deserves it very well.
Yeah. I agree. He's had a fantastic year. And also, if this is anything to go off of, I think Aluokun has shown up at least 4 times on our wrecked face list.
Oh yeah, I looked at his game log and I thought, man, he had to have showed up on RecFace several times.
Yeah, he has. He has. He's had many games over 15 tackles. So yeah, I do think T.J. Watt deserves it, but I would not be furious if Aluokun won this year.
Well, what should have happened was Watt should have won it last year.
That too.
It's Aaron Donald's fault.
Yeah. Star bias. Although hopefully T.J. Watt after this year will be enough star that he'll get his bias, and then we won't have to talk about that anymore.
Yeah. So what is it? Rookie?
Do you want to let's quickly do defensive rookie of the year first, and then we'll do offensive since you didn't do the defensive one.
Yeah, I have no defenders.
So yeah, I think pretty clearly I did look at a couple of lists because I didn't remember offhand who was drafted this year, and I didn't want to go through like all the first rounds, and just the first rounds aren't necessarily the best players and all that. So I did look at a couple of articles with lists. And it seemed to me that the leading candidate was Micah Parsons for
Oh, okay.
the Dallas Cowboys linebacker. He had 84 tackles, 13 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 12 stuffs.
Yeah,
So
dude. Yeah.
that's a epic season for a rookie. And then um my I think my runner up, who is not super close but also had a solid season for a rookie, was Pat Surtain for the Broncos. He had 58 tackles, 4 interceptions, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So just for for a rookie corner, that's a good season. But I think Micah Parsons just was really dominant this year, so he earned it. Um, okay, so let's go to offensive rookie of the year, and I think this
Who,
one there's actually kind of a conversation.
who's
Um,
your yeah? Who's your runner up? Who's your
so
runner up?
I kind of had a hmm. So
We'll tell you what. How about I go first because my simpler for me, and I also did less work. So I'll explain my reasoning, and
okay,
then you
go for it.
can. So I think we both know who number one obviously is.
Do we?
Shocked if. Well, and look, here's the thing. The only reason why the question you just said would be valid is if I completely miss someone else in running. So here's what I did. I assumed that who the number one person obviously was, and they're there. And for the runner up, I knew that Jalen Waddle was a rookie. I looked at his stats and thought, oh, that's a solid rookie season. So Jalen Waddle's my runner up. I think he has 98 or 99 receptions for almost 1,000 yards, like 5 or 7 touchdowns. So I didn't look too much into it. I saw Waddle. I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely a solid rookie. So he's my runner up. I assumed there's someone else you're thinking of to be in this running here, that there was the clear obvious choice one. So maybe I missed. So now
This
you're
is
missing.
interesting. I think you did miss someone, but we'll get there. So before we get to that, I think there were two. I'm going to say two honorable mentions before we discuss our top two.
Let
So
me react.
my honorable mentions.
Yeah, like give your own. I'll react and see if
Okay,
I'll.
so my two honorable mentions are Mac Jones, who was 3,500 yards, 67.6 completion, 21 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, turned a Patriots team that was not supposed to go anywhere into a strong playoff contender. Granted, part of that was their defense, but he filled Tom Brady's shoes quite well this season. So credit to him. And then my other runner up, or not runner up, but my other honorable mention was Kyle Pitts for the Falcons. Had 66 receptions on 105 targets. Not the greatest efficiency, but he did have just over 1,000 yards, which was 15.4 average yards per reception, and he only did have one touchdown, so he wasn't as much of a scoring threat. But for a tight end to have, for a rookie tight end to have over 1,000 yards in a season is good. So just
Oh,
wanted to shout him out.
so yeah, so Mac Jones decent. So I would say from what you gave so far, I think Jalen Waddle is better than at least one, probably better than both, given the quarterback situation and some of the plays that he made, and he really brought. I think that he's. I would definitely put him over Pitts. And I think there's a case to put him over Mac Jones. I think those are good honorable mentions. So now I'm really curious.
So
Um,
yeah, I didn't. So actually, I didn't see Jalen Waddle. But based on the stats you read, I would put him above Pitts and in the same close proximity to Mac Jones. I think.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Waddle. Here we go. He had 15 games, so he missed a game. So 15 games, 99 receptions on 133 targets. That sounds good. Let me. That's 74.4%.
Okay.
968 yards, 5 touchdowns, no lost fumbles. Oh, and a rushing touchdown.
9 touchdowns, you said?
No, 5.
Oh, 5 touchdowns. Okay.
But no lost fumbles. He also had a rushing touchdown. So, yeah, no, I think I'll stick with Waddle at runner-up, and I'm curious to hear who your runner-up is.
Okay. So my runner-up is so good that there was a legitimate discussion in my mind that I don't think is concluded about who number 1 is.
Okay. Oh my gosh, who the heck? Who is it? Because obviously Chase is the other one, obviously. So then who's the? Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy.
So are you saying that Chase is your number 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh wait, did you go Najee Harris?
Yes.
Okay. I think I saw his stats, and for some reason he just didn't bounce out enough. But I'm looking at it right now, and you know what?
So the thing is, you have to look at total yards for him. So I'll read his stat line. So he had 296 carries for 1172 yards, which was only a 4.0 average, so not fantastic, but he had 7 rushing touchdowns. But then he had 70 receptions on 90 targets for 440 yards and 3 touchdowns. So total, he had was that 1610 yards and 10 touchdowns.
And no lost fumbles. No fumbles, period.
No fumbles. And then Jamar Chase was 79 for 124, 1429 yards, which is an 18.1 average. That's blowing the roof off. 13 touchdowns. I don't know. Did he have fumbles this year? Let me try to find him. Or maybe you can find him first.
He had 2 fumbles, 1 loss. So 1 lost fumble.
Okay, 1 lost fumble. That wouldn't if it's just 1 delta, I wouldn't factor that in really.
So
this is really close, and I honestly don't know how to gauge this.
So let me quickly just say that.
Yeah.
After hearing this, I'm so sure that I saw Najee, and I just felt that Waddle. Maybe I didn't. I must not have seen the total. I can't imagine that I would have seen total performance and still went Waddle. I can't imagine I would have done that. So I must have just seen the rushing. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a tough one. Clearly Najee is top 2, and I mean, let me look at his game log. Because one thing with Chase, he did have a few big games, but they're weighted towards a few big games. You look at kind of like a standard deviation standpoint, that would knock him down. Like he's had 2 or 3 monster games, another 1 or 2 good games, and then kind of average to nothing.
Yeah. So let's while you pull him up, I'll pull up Najee. I don't know Najee or Najee. I don't know how people say it, but
you know what? It's close. It's spread out more. He's had 1 monster game, 2 really good games. Ooh, they're close. I think it's very close. They're not as spread out as you would like. But what's clear is the games in which they had big games, they won, except Chase losing to the Packers in overtime. That was that crazy one where they hit the hole on the field goals multiple times. They missed all the multiple field goals. That crazy game.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, it's very close, man. They had some big games. Their deviation is pretty high. Doesn't favor either of them. It's kind of just washed out. The man.
Yeah. On the flip side, Najee is kind of the opposite. He didn't really have any super standout performances except for the Browns game.
Yeah.
The thing is, the other factor I think about is the systems they were plugged into, right? So Najee came in to a team that desperately needed a running back, and he was plugged into an offense that already had some other weapons, a veteran quarterback, and a team a good defense, and a team that's already kind of built to win, and the Bengals were supposed to be recovering from a rebuild, and Jamar Chase comes in and turns their receiving core into, good to like a top 5 receiving core, maybe top 3. So I think the Delta improvement given those players maybe weights slightly towards Chase. Like, I don't know how many times you could say that the Steelers won because of Najee, whereas there were a few games where they won because of Chase.
Yeah, and they probably should have won that Packers game too. So,
I would say it just leans maybe slightly towards Chase, but this is probably the best example of if either of them got it, I would understand.
I wonder if they'll do a because 2004, 3, Peyton Manning won the MVP with Steve McNair, and then in 1995, Brett Favre and Barry Sanders both won it. There's been some winners before in awards, and this would be a great time. I think at best Chase is a 52-53 percentage. So,
yeah, 55. I think I agree with that.
So yeah, I would not mind a winner, which they've done in MVP's an even bigger award. So,
okay, all right. So it sounds like we agreed on the 3 that we both did, and then obviously, I think you would have agreed with Micah Parsons too. So that's 4 agreements. So now we'll close out with our MVP, and so this was interesting because as of, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, it was pretty clearly Brady. And so the approach that I took, because I hadn't really tracked the stats in the last few weeks, was I basically looked at the stats for the quarterbacks that were close to the top. And I looked at each of the players and I said, prove to me that you were better than Brady. That was kind of my approach for this. Because I think Brady's baseline stats are, at least for yards and touchdowns, his baseline stats are the best. Even when you factor in rushing touchdowns from some of the other players like Joe Burrow and who was the other one? Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, some of these other guys. So how do you want to do this discussion? Do you want to do we want to just reveal our number 1 and then talk about runner-ups?
Yeah, because I'm assuming Brady's number 1 still. He's number
yeah, he is still number 1, but there were actually 3 that I found that were pretty close.
Yeah, so here's how I did it. I have a tier 1 and a tier 2. So Brady's tier 1, and I have 3 quarterbacks who are tier 2 that are on the same tier, and get some recency bias and like playoff push. You could give 2 of them an edge. So let's do this. Let's just reveal one of the obvious tier 2 guys who's kind of boring. Not boring what he did, but only because he's been kind of averaged out and he's been number 2. That's Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford in your one of the 3 guys.
So he should have been.
If it's not, I think I know who your other guy is.
He wasn't, but I think he would have. I should have had him in there, and then I would have had 4 guys.
Okay, so what you're saying is your 3 guys, none of them is Matthew Stafford. Okay, that's fine. That's good, because while I think Stafford is tier 2, I think it's the other 2 guys in my list that are good discussion. And now I have a feeling of who your other. I have 2 picks for who I think your other 1 pick is. So how about go first? You have an extra pick, and I just revealed Stafford. And so reveal 1. I'll do the next one, so forth.
Okay. One of them is Justin Herbert.
I do not have him, but I can see it. I don't
Okay.
have him.
Yeah, so he was uh so just as a baseline, the completion percentage for these guys were all pretty close. Herbert had 67.3, 4,600 yards, 7.6 average, 35 touchdowns, 4 picks, but he had I think it was three. Yeah, he had 3 rushing touchdowns and 300 rushing yards. So when you combine those, he's only 60 yards short of Brady. Well, no, I actually didn't look at. So what was Brady's?
Oh, not gonna be very much.
He had some.
Brady.
Yeah, he had some rushing touchdowns, but I think his rushing yards was really low. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, but he had 81 yards. So when you put that in, it's 38 touchdowns, 14 picks. Uh, his rating was a little lower for some reason. I'm not really sure why that was. Maybe he fumbled a few more times, but um, he was agreeably tier two. Like he wasn't Brady, but uh, his total offensive output was pretty close to that. Um, now Stafford was. I don't think Stafford had any rushing touchdowns, did he? No, he didn't. So Stafford, the thing about Stafford that's hard, and I think this is why I didn't include him, but I think I should have, and that's why he would have been the fourth, is his last like 3 games have been terrible. Um so uh he's thrown 6 interceptions in his last 3 games. 2 for 1, 1 for 3, 2 for 2. He's been a little low on yards. So if you were to subtract out the most recent 3 games, he would be competing with Brady. But it's his last 3 games that have kind of sunk him, I think.
Oh, are you saying if he had like some kind of effective average of the last 3 games that represented the first, he might be closer to Brady?
Yeah, I think so.
That's fair. Yeah, no. Oh yeah, dude. He has 38 touchdowns. Yeah. Oh, I totally see that. Yeah, I totally see that.
Okay, so you didn't have Herbert, so this is interesting. So I think so you said you had
Please tell
three.
me.
Sorry,
I
you
was
said
saying,
you did not have Herbert, right?
did not have Herbert,
But you
so I
did
only
have
have,
Stafford.
yeah. So I only have
Okay,
two
so
guys
I
left.
think the other two I think we agree on the other two.
I hope as long as you don't have Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, so I did.
Ah. Um.
So he's probably the lowest of the 4 that I have, or 3 that I had. Um,
Well, you have to have. If you don't have one of the other two guys, I'm gonna relationship will be tempered.
uh-oh. I'm
If you don't
pretty
have,
sure I have one of them.
I hope so, man. I would be one. Forget the friendship thing. I would just be shocked logically.
Okay, so can we hold on. Can we agree that it's not Josh Allen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I don't have Josh Allen in there.
Well, then it has to be mathematically. It has to be one. You have to have one of the other two guys, or someone else
Well,
will
it
have
would
it.
have to be Burrow or Mahomes.
Okay, so those are the two guys I have. I have Burrow and Mahomes as my last
Okay,
two.
so I did not have Mahomes, but I did have Burrow.
Okay.
So
I
the
mean, they're
thing,
next.
yeah, you know what, dude? Here's the thing. Rodgers is always so hard because he has less yards, right? But the 35-4 is amazing,
I
and
know. No, yeah.
and it's just how do you factor that in to how do you compare that to someone that has 13 interceptions, right? Like Mahomes.
Yeah,
It's just hard. Like Mahomes has some rushing stats, which probably should push him a little over
well,
Rodgers,
and so
but
did Burrow.
57 yards and 2 touchdowns, it's not that much.
Burrow has 100 touchdowns, so that's and Burrow also has um, more fumbles. Um, Rodgers has 3 rushing touchdowns for 94 yards. Mahomes has 327 and 2. So Mahomes gets a nice. So between Mahomes and Burrow, they're very, very close,
Wait, you said Rodgers has 3 rushing touchdowns?
but only 94 yards.
Okay,
Yeah,
but that means that Rodgers has more touchdowns than Mahomes.
well, Mahomes has 2 rushing touchdowns.
Right, but they had
Oh,
the same passing. So Rodgers
so
has 38 touchdowns and Mahomes has 37 total touchdowns.
Mahomes also has now
But
like
he has 600 more yards and a worse completion percentage.
we would have to look at game by game performance at this point. So here's the thing. I'm gonna relent a little bit by saying that Rodgers is closer. I'm okay with that. I will relent what I said. But can you at least see why I put Burrow up there? Especially
Oh
since
yeah, because I also have Burrow though. So yes.
sorry, Mahomes. Yeah, Mahomes is.
No,
This is why
I
Mahomes
can see why.
like,
I think Stafford, Mahomes, Rodgers, Burrow, and Herbert are all pretty close.
that's fair. I buy that.
But I think I would probably put. I would probably have to put Stafford and Herbert, maybe. I don't know. Maybe Stafford and maybe Stafford, Burrow, Herbert, and then Mahomes and Rodgers would be close at the bottom of that.
Yeah, because dude, Herbert has 300 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns and no fumbles. So honestly, I'm seeing your case. I think Herbert probably the most tier two of all of these guys besides Stafford.
Yes, and I think you can make a case that he surpasses Stafford, right? Because he's tied in
I think
touchdowns, has one less pick, has 300 more total yards, has the same completion percentage. Uh, yeah,
I agree with you. Yep.
yeah, I think honestly, Herbert is probably the best runner-up candidate on this list.
Which is amazing, isn't it? Because last year he had the greatest passing rookie season of all time, and then he goes on and then now going to be a top 3 MVP candidate. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is. It is. I still don't believe in the Chargers, but
But you gotta admit, like they're only a few pieces away, and because Herbert's so young, we can have more faith in him, and he's more naturally talented than Rivers, and you're getting him younger. So if
yeah,
he's
no,
true,
I think offensively, totally. It's just the issue is the defense. Just like I have the same concerns about the Chargers that I do about the Bengals.
that's fair.
Okay,
That was a good.
so yeah, that's a good discussion, and we agreed on all of our top picks, which was not shocking for most of them since most of the picks were pretty clear. I think. Um, cool. Yeah, no, this has been a good year, and I actually kind of like that we're doing this after the 16th game because
Yep.
we're looking at it like we look at similar stats from previous years.
And
But
what?
I was just gonna say it looks like we're probably not gonna get 2 5,000 yard quarterbacks this year. Brady will. I mean, if Burrow goes out and has some insane game, like it could happen, but it's I think it's pretty unlikely that we'll get 2 5,000 yard quarterbacks this year.
And outside of Cooper Cup breaking the wide receiver record, possibly, um, I'm glad to see that no quarterback is going to touch any receiving. No quarterback is going to touch any passing record, yards or touchdown wise, for having
Yes.
having the extra game.
Yeah.
That would.
Cool. All right. So I think next week would be a good week to do the hot seat article.
Oh, that's right. Didn't you send me that a while ago? And
Yeah, because we're gonna be uh doing picks for. We'll have our game of the week discussion. We'll have our picks for the first playoff weekend. So there's not really going to be a whole lot else to talk about. So I figured that the hot seat one is probably good for next week.
Right. I remember going through that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because we talked. I remember we vaguely talked on the phone about the difference between the Titans and the Cardinals. Bills, I think. Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that.
So let's plan to do that next week for our special segment. Okay, so let's go into our final segment of the night, which is our predictions. So we have 2 weeks to cover since we were out last week. You didn't have a show last week. I was 11-5 and 12-4, and Joseph was 11-5 both weeks. So I picked up one game, which means that we're now tied at 161, 94, and 1, which is 63.1%. So that's respectable. And that number is not going to change a whole lot because there's not that many games left, but one more slate of 16 games plus, less postseason games. So
Tied, epic.
yeah, I know it's going to come down to the wire. Okay, so let's do our week 18 predictions, and I think we might end up having a substantial number of differences. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, here's the thing. Well, let's tell the audience. Beforehand, we talked not about the picks. I said that I only thought there was one tough pick, but I could see like 3, maybe 4. Jeremy said like 8, and so we could really differ here. I'm curious to see. So how about this? Each time you come across a game that you thought was tough, of those 8, you tell me.
Okay, sure. So I'll start. Chiefs at Broncos. Chiefs.
Same. Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys.
Okay, that was one of the tough ones.
Yep.
And I'm going Eagles.
Ooh, okay.
They kind of laid an egg against the Cardinals at home, and I don't know what's going on with that. So the Eagles have been kind of hot, and they're at home. So it's a division game. Bengals at Browns. I'm going Bengals.
And Packers, Lions, Packers.
That was one of the tough ones. No, just kidding. And what's kind of funny actually is that the Packers are don't actually need to play this week.
Ooh.
Right? Because they locked by winning this week, they locked the first seed. But that's lame because the team that they're playing is the Lions, who had no chance anyway. So it's not like a team could have gained an important game on that.
Yeah.
So that nobody will be watching that game.
By the way, I like how we were correct. We were correct in saying that, like, how many 13-4 and 14-3 teams? Like, we were pretty good at predicting that was going to be like the limit.
Yeah, no, it's 13-4 is the new 13-3 apparently. Okay, next one is Bears at Vikings. I'm going Vikings. Excuse me. I won't make this conditional. I was tempted to make this conditional on whether Cousins started, but I'm just going to pick Vikings.
Okay, I was thinking I'm making it conditional as well, but I'll just go with you because I have the same Vikings.
Okay.
Washington Giants. Washington. I'm assuming that's one of your tough ones.
Yeah, that is one of the tough ones, and I also picked football team on that.
We've only been at 2 tough games. Okay, and we're only different by 1 game.
Yes.
Okay.
Your turn. Colts at Jags. Colts.
Super tough, but Colts.
Yeah.
Colts. This is the one I put down as definitely tough.
Yeah, this one is tough.
I'm going Ravens.
I am going Ravens also. Titans at Texans. Titans.
Same. Okay, hold on. That means that you picked all of the remaining next games to be tough.
Well, I've already said 2, right?
Oh, no, you're right. Sorry, 6 out of 7. That means that 6
a lot of these are hard.
Okay.
But
right.
so
well, I know which one it isn't.
Jets and Bills. Okay.
My turn or your turn?
It's your turn.
Saints at Falcons. Going Saints.
Okay, so this is actually really hard. I'm going Falcons, and I also have a rooting interest in going Falcons.
Yes, you do. You have a very strong.
They have more of a chance than the Panthers did last week. Okay, Jets at Bills.
Same. Niners, Rams. I'm sorry, but I gotta go Rams.
I know. I knew you were going to do that. This was also hard. This was another hard one, but I'm going Niners because what the heck? It's the last week of the season, and if they lose, they're probably not going to the playoffs.
I mean, I picked the Dolphins against the Titans. Not like I was thinking.
Yeah, that one definitely did not go your way.
So
Patriots, Dolphins. This is actually also kind of hard because Dolphins have been frustratingly inconsistent. You guys are at home. The Patriots have been a bit up and down. I'm going Dolphins, but I don't bet on this game.
I agree about both things. Don't bet, and I'm going Dolphins.
Okay.
Seattle, Arizona. I think Arizona will bounce back. Arizona will.
Yeah, this was another tough one, but I went Cardinals as well. Panthers at Bucks.
Did you think this one was tough?
No.
Okay, Bucks. Okay, so you had 7 tough.
But this next one I kind of did.
Yeah, Chargers, Raiders. This one is tough, but this one's also epic, which we'll explain in a minute. I went Chargers.
I did as well. So we differed on 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you said if whoever wins gets in and the other one is eliminated.
Yep. Takes all in that game. That's the only game this week that's like that.
So let's just do a quick review on this. So
if the Steelers win, they're not automatically in. So what happens against Chargers, Raiders?
So so the Chargers and Raiders play each other. If whoever wins that gets in, and that's one of the slots.
Yes.
But then
depending on the Colts, if the Colts win, the Ravens and Steelers should be knocked out. Yes.
If the Colts win, the Ravens and Steelers are knocked out, right? But what happens if? So does that mean both the Steelers? That must mean that both the Steelers and the Ravens have the possibility to knock out the Colts. Otherwise, one of them would have already been eliminated if that wasn't true.
That's a very good point. Let me quickly. I believe you. I just want to see the math.
Right, because if the Colts lose and the Steelers win, then the Steelers have one less loss than the Colts, so they would beat them out. If the Ravens win and the Colts lose, then there must be some 9-8 tiebreak where the Ravens
beat the Colts.
Okay, so they have head-to-head then. Okay, so Steelers would be by record, Ravens would be by head-to-head, and then if the Steelers and Ravens both win, but the Colts lose, then the Steelers would get in by record.
Wait, Steelers and Ravens both win?
Oh, sorry, they can't both win. No, never mind. Duh, because they're playing each other. Well, no. So that's not a win and you're in, but lose and you're eliminated game.
Yeah. So the Colts, and yeah, what I mean by win and you're in, I mostly mean that there's no other game to where that's true for either team. So Chargers, Raiders, whoever wins is in.
Right. I see what you're saying.
If the Colts win, they're in no matter what.
Yes, and they're playing the Jags, so most likely the Steelers and the Ravens are both going to be eliminated, even though they're playing with each other. And we'll see Colts and either Chargers or Raiders in the playoffs. That's the most likely scenario.
You're right. Yeah, because you're right. Those teams only get in if the Colts lose. So yeah, and the Colts, right. I don't think I agree.
Cool, man. Well, it's going to be exciting to see how it all shakes out. Obviously, the Niners, Saints. If the Niners win, they're in, no matter what happens with the Saints. If the Niners lose, then they need the Saints to lose. And that determines the final spot there. So, okay. So that, and our game of the week we agreed was going to be Chargers Raiders just because of this unique playoff scenario situation, and we've only done one Chargers game, and I don't think we've done Raiders yet this year. So it'll be a good opportunity to watch those teams since they're both playing for something. So, unless you have anything more, Joseph, we'll go ahead and close out the show.
Yep.
All right. So that is a wrap. Thanks for sticking around for the extra 35 minutes. Wow, this is an hour and 35-minute show, but well worth it. We had a lot of cool stuff to talk about. If you did not fall asleep during tonight's episode or any of our past episodes, please like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube, as those are free ways for you to support our show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Practice Squad and at Neuralizer_. Just as a reminder, if you've missed past episodes, you can watch or listen to them right here on my YouTube channel. Tonight's show will be available immediately after we go offline. As always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.